There was one band in particular that that literally, for me, I feel literally guided my way and made it possible. And I mean almost literally. The band is this this band called the legendary Pink Dots, and I was a super fan in high school. And much like the Dresden Dolls, they were, you know, not as quite as big as the Dolls became, but they were a constantly touring, very culty band from Europe with very, like, beautiful, weird, often very theatrical songs. And my boyfriend, when I was a teenager, was a giant fan of theirs and got me into them. And that music was like my religion in high school. I mean, collecting their records and listening to every song and delving into all of the connections in the world that they created through their songs was everything. Edward Caspell, who was the lead singer and the primary songwriter and the lyricist, was a imaginative genius, and he really did weave together through the course of the albums. There were recurring characters, and there were apocalyptic descriptions, and that incredible place that I was talking about where light and dark are just smashed together. And, you know, and a lot of the music was very overdramatic and very, you know, really emotional and heavy duty. And when I was creating theater in high school, I was using their music a lot as inspiration and you know, used it during improv and used it for soundtracks of theater I was making. And it was just, it felt like a place. And much like the Dolls fans connect with each other, I connected with the people who were the fans of that band so hardcore that I'm still friends with them today. It was the early days of the internet, and there was a list-serv of legendary Pink Dots fans around the globe, and the 6 people who were on that list in Boston, like, gradually found each other, and we would see each other at shows, and we would help each other out. And, you know, there was a radio DJ, and there was a guy who ran a website, and and in my early 20s, those were the people who were like my tight community. They gave me my first website, and, you know, the DJ played my, you know, things like that. Like, it was a clique, but a clique of very sort of outsider folks, and not very many of them. But it was one of those things where the band was culty enough where, like, if I was in some random place and I saw someone wearing a legendary Pink Dots shirt, I was like, oh, you're one of me. Like, here are the keys to my car. Like just like anything goes. I trust you. I trust you because you love this music. Literally, like, I won't even ask. I just trust you. And I got to know the band a little bit because they were small enough that they were really accessible. And I, you know, through a friend of a friend, I offered them a place to stay, and they once stayed at my folks' house when I was 18 years old. It was like the highlight of my life. And when I was a little older, I think I was 19, they were staying somewhere in Cambridge when they were playing in town in Boston, and I was there and friendly with the band on a high first-name basis. And I had just made a demo tape, and the guy whose house it was, John Whitney, said, you know, Amanda's got this demo tape, do you guys want to listen to it? She's really good, she plays piano, she 4-tracks her own stuff, and it's cool, it has effects. And they said, yeah, sure, throw it on. And I was, you know, I felt like I was, it was Judgment Day. And John put my demo tape on in the living room, and they listened to 2 or 3 songs, and I sat there, like, with my brain exploding, feeling totally mortified and terrified. And Edward Caspell went out on the front porch of the house to have a cigarette, and I followed him out and was like, and he sat down next to me on a set of stairs, and he said, your music's really good. You should really do something. Like, and I hear a lot of people's shit, and we're given demo CDs all the time, and I'm actually really impressed. I think you can do something. And that was it. Like, in that moment, my life changed. It was like I had been, you know, I don't know, it was like I had been somehow like blessed by some by some creative deity. And I'd been working on my stuff into that point, but I remember in that moment I floated on a cloud for about 4 days going like, fuck, Edward Caspell thinks my music is good. I'm not crazy. I really can do this. I really can do this. And keeping that idea in my, in the pit of my stomach was like this underlying current that I think just helped propel me. And I really try to do that with our fans. I mean, when I see people making art that's good and promising, whether it's visual art or someone who sends me music and I think that it actually is good, I will really try hard to take the time out of my life to connect with them and tell them that and help them if I can, which I sometimes can, like literally give them work, have them design merch.
Any examples?
Yeah, sure. One of my favorite ones is there's this girl who wrote a bunch of songs, and she sent me, her name's Molly Robeson, she's from outside of Chicago. She's really young, at least really young when she came to me, I think 16, and she sent me a demo CD or sent me a link or something.
That's not so young. That's old enough to have your heart broken, your illusions shattered.
But I mean, I was taking myself seriously when I was 16 as a songwriter, and one of my one of the songs I wrote when I was 16 went on our first disc, and I still give that disc to people. It's like it's legit. It's legit. And I remember listening to her music, or listening to a song on a link and being like, shit, this is really good. Like, the girl's got talent, she can sing, she's writing good lyrics, it's like, it sounds a little young, but she's really good, like, Jesus, and she's 16. And I remember writing to her and being like, listen, you've really got talent, da 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 da. And we exchanged a few emails, and she kept sending me her music, and she would send me her press clippings and stuff, and she wrote a song and dedicated it to me that like broke my heart. That was really great. And I wrote some emails back and forth with her mom. Like, her mom started sending me emails saying like, thank you so much for encouraging Molly, it means so much to her. I was like, well, you should, it's so great that she's got a mom who's supporting her and she's really talented. And she would come and see us at shows when we came through Chicago, which we were touring so much, so we were there a couple times a year, so I met her a handful of times. And then one time about a year ago when we were touring through Chicago, I said, do you want to just, we already have an opening band, but do you want to just get on stage and play a song, whatever you want? Just, I'll give you 5 minutes on stage. You're ready to do it, you've been playing live shows, I know that you can do it. So she got up and she played in front of like 2,000 people. She played a song on her guitar. And I introduced her and stuff, and it just said, like, she MySpaced me. And she was great, and people liked it. Like, she's really good. And that, it's stuff like that. And visual artists are great too, because I'm not a visual artist, so I actually really rely on visual artists to create artwork for me, for the website, for the merch, for the posters, for the tour laminates, like for whatever, there's always a need for art.